Keep yourself in the loop of everything football on the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast. The latest news on and off the field, be it college football, Big Ten, SEC, Big 12, Pac-12, ACC to the NFL. We've got you covered. Listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast.
GSMC Football Podcast. This episode is brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network, and as always, I am your host, Jesse Tapia. Alright, it is now day 19 without football. Alright, we are about 2 weeks, a little bit more than 2 weeks into the off season. It's been tough, alright? It's been tough without watching the games. It's been tough without the storylines, but nonetheless, the podcast is still here. Okay, we're not going anywhere. Unless they tell me to go somewhere. But nonetheless, you get what I'm saying. We're still here. All right, so here's how the show is going to go down today. First segment, we're going to be talking about the possibility of the New York Jets giving Kirk Cousins a fully guaranteed deal. All right, it's not for sure or anything like that, but we're going to talk about the possibility. All right, what it means for the NFL going forward if it does happen. Why on earth anyone would ever give Kirk Cousins that type of money. We'll be talking about that and pretty much how it affects all of their quarterbacks too. So we'll be doing that. Second segment, we're going to go talk about the top destinations for free agent quarterbacks to go to. All right, we'll be doing that. Not so much a ranking rather than just talking about each team. Third segment, we'll be talking about Jarvis Landry getting the franchise tag. Pretty much spent a lot of that segment talking about the Dolphins as far as, I guess, just giving Landry the franchise tag and pretty much just talk about what they got going on right now, all right? So we'll be doing that, and then for the fourth segment, we'll be talking about anything else going on in the world of sports. Maybe talk about the fact that Alshon Jeffrey was playing this entire season with a torn rotator cuff. All right, that's a bit ridiculous there, but nonetheless, he was doing it, and he did it well, all right? Dude got a long-term contract extension playing with a torn rotator cuff. Imagine how good he'll be with a healthy rotator cuff. All right, is that how you say it? All right, so we'll see. We'll talk about that in the fourth segment, but that's pretty much how the show is going to go down today, all right? Maybe we'll talk about the Browns too, all right? Mel Kiper said, don't be surprised if the Browns, maybe we'll fit the Browns in that third segment, all right? But he said, don't be surprised if the Browns end up taking Barkley at number 1 and then a quarterback at number 4. All right, now it sounds kind of off, kind of weird, but nonetheless, that's a genius plan, all right? Mel Kiper finally said something smart. So we'll be doing that probably too in the third segment. So let's get into it. Let's talk quarterbacks, guaranteed contracts, Kirk Cousins, and the future of the NFL. All right, so there's been rumors going around that the Jets possibly could offer Kirk Cousins the first fully guaranteed deal in NFL history. Okay? And I'm not sure how I feel about that. I'm always one that's happy for players getting their money. So, I wouldn't have any problem, I guess, as a person with Kirk Cousins getting a fully guaranteed deal. But as someone who is talking about the NFL and someone who, just likes to give opinions, where is, why? Why? Where did this whole thing about Kirk Cousins becoming a top quarterback come from? All right. Not trying to hate on Kirk Cousins either. Kirk Cousins is a pretty decent quarterback. Okay, but I don't understand how we got from the point of Kirk Cousins becoming a starter to Kirk Cousins becoming the highest paid quarterback of all time. Highest paid football player of all time. How does that happen? How did we get here? What did we do wrong? All right? What did we do wrong? I'm not sure. Kirk Cousins, he does have some nice stats, okay? He does have nice stats. I think he's top 10 in most QB stats for the last 4 years or something like that, however long he's been around. And it's not like top 10 being he's number 7 or number 6 in passing yards or anything like that. He's fringe number 10, all right? But I just don't get how a guy like this is going to get all this money, okay? Because let me tell you this, all right? Jimmy Garoppolo, he got $137.5 million. I'm okay giving Jimmy Garoppolo that kind of money. Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be a good quarterback, okay? And plus, you're paying for the upside with Jimmy Garoppolo. You're not, like, I'm saying that Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be a good quarterback, but I don't know that for sure. All right, that's just my gut. But that's what you're paying for. You're paying for the upside, okay? And with Kirk Cousins, you know what he is already, okay? It's not like there's something else you got to figure out about him. Like, when you're bringing in Kirk Cousins, you know what you're getting. And with that said, like, with the guy you know you're getting and all that, is he truly worth all that money, okay? I don't think so. He should not be paid higher. Let me look at the top paid quarterbacks in the league right now. He shouldn't be paid higher than Stafford. Shouldn't be paid higher than Luck. Shouldn't be paid higher than Rodgers. Shouldn't be paid higher than Newton. Shouldn't be paid higher than Matt Ryan. All right, and I guess that's where the cutoff is right there. Matt Ryan's making his contract ends in 2019, so he's going to be getting an extension soon. So I guess the better part to use is Cam Newton, whose contract ends in 2021. Cam Newton is making $103 million. All right. On a 20-year average, a little bit less than $21 million a year, okay? Kirk Cousins, that's where he fits in there, like a little, like maybe like a 4-year, $100 million deal, but I understand that's not how it works, okay? The market is always going to get higher, all right? Because you know what? Kirk Cousins is going to be signing his deal, and he's going to become the highest paid player in the NFL, but Aaron Rodgers is going to look at that and say, yeah, double that. Green Bay, okay, because that's how much Aaron Rodgers is worth. Whatever Kirk Cousins is getting, Aaron Rodgers is worth twice that, all right? But nonetheless, I mean, if Kirk Cousins does end up getting this fully guaranteed deal from the Jets, at least offered to him, and he takes it, that's going to change the NFL altogether as far as how contracts are given out and all that, okay? Like there's so much that goes into it rather than a guy getting a fully guaranteed deal or fully guaranteed money, okay? So let's put it this way. Kirk Cousins gets a near $200 million guaranteed deal, fully all of it guaranteed, $60 million in the first year, $50 million in the second year. Then after that, it's pretty much all just spread out as the years go on. All right, so let's say that he gets that. Aaron Rodgers, without a doubt, is getting a fully guaranteed deal. And it's crazy. Rodgers is 34 years old. All right. It's crazy how he's going to get another long-term extension. Rodgers could play for another 10 years, I feel like. If anyone's playing till they're 45 and I had to put money on it between Brady and Rodgers, I'd say that Rodgers plays till he's 45 and Brady doesn't. But we'll have to wait and see, okay? So let's put it this way. Let me look. What's Kirk Cousins currently making right now? Let me see if I can find that. I'm not sure if I can. Let's see. He might not be on here since he's going to be a free agent, or since he is a free agent, so he might not have his contract up here. Maybe he is up there. I do not see Kirk Cousins on here. All right. So, do not have his current numbers. Obviously, not going to be not making as much as he will be in the future. But either way, with Kirk Cousins, I mean, congrats. Congrats. All right. He's going to get the most money guaranteed either way. All right. Whether it's a fully guaranteed contract or not, he's going to get the most guaranteed money ever. All right. I think Matthew Stafford, he made $60 million guaranteed at signing. Let's see. Eli Manning got 54. Aaron Rodgers got 33 or whatever. So, I mean, yeah, so only half of Rodgers' contract was guaranteed, actually. So either way, getting back to it. Or actually, Stafford got $92 million guaranteed, I believe. All right, yeah, so we got 92 guaranteed. Jimmy G got 74. Derek Carr got 70. Luck had 87 guaranteed. All right, yeah, so I was looking at the wrong stat. All right, let's see. Rodgers then, let me correct that. He got 54 guaranteed, okay? So, let's see. Stafford's getting $92 million guaranteed. That's the thing. Cousins is getting more than that guaranteed, okay? Do we think that Kirk Cousins is better than Matt Stafford? No way. All right? If you're out there thinking Matt Stafford isn't as good as Kirk Cousins, then I don't know what to tell you, man. You must be a Washington Redskins fan, or you must be a fan of a team that's hoping to sign Kirk Cousins. All right, but either way, that's how the market goes. This is how it is, all right? So, yeah, Kirk Cousins, if he gets a guaranteed contract, that's going to change the future because, like I said, if I'm a quarterback who, like if I'm Drew Brees, okay, I'm a free agent. Obviously, I see myself going back to New Orleans, and New Orleans sees them bringing me back, okay? So it's going to happen. But I am not signing my deal until Kirk Cousins signs his. Because if Kirk Cousins gets a fully guaranteed deal, everyone is going to be getting fully guaranteed deals. All right, that's just how it's going to go. All right, so if I'm Drew Brees, I'm saying Kirk Cousins gets a little fully guaranteed contract. I'm not going to get paid as much as he is. I'm probably going to want $20 million a year. I'm telling him, give me 2 years, $40 million guaranteed, and be done with it. All right. Plus, there's incentives and all that. I don't know. That with the contract, if it's fully guaranteed, does that mean there's no incentives on it? Because obviously, if the total amount of the contract with incentives is going to be different from what you're getting guaranteed. So I guess I don't know. I guess there's no incentives at play. All right. So, yeah, if I'm Drew Brees, I mean, I got to be at least making. People are saying that Drew Brees is probably going to be making more than what Jimmy Garoppolo is on an average yearly salary. All right. Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be making $27.5 million per year average. Drew Brees is going to be getting more than that. All right. So, Drew Brees could tell New Orleans, hey, I don't even know if they could do this either. New Orleans can't do a guaranteed contract. I don't think they have enough cap space to do something like that. So this is going to be interesting because if I'm obviously Drew Brees, all right, let's say this. If Kirk Cousins gets a fully guaranteed deal, I don't see Drew Brees getting a fully guaranteed deal also, but I do see him getting a lot of it guaranteed. So maybe he'll tell him, obviously he's going to be needing to make like $30 million a year. Maybe he'll tell him, you know what, I want 2 years or whatever, 3 years, $60 million, and I want about, I don't know, you can't even do that either because he's got to be making more than Jimmy Garoppolo. So I guess the contract will probably end up being around 2 years, $60 million. All right, and probably do like 25 of that guaranteed, okay? Or 20, actually do 50 of it guaranteed or whatever. So he's making, 25 guaranteed for both years, all right? So $50 million guaranteed. Other $10 million is just incentives and all that if you win Super Bowl and all that. So, I mean, that's going to change. And like I said, Aaron Rodgers is going to get a guaranteed contract if Kirk Cousins gets one. Aaron Rodgers, as far as talent goes at the quarterback position, is miles countries better than Kirk Cousins. And when I say countries, I mean from California, from the United States, all the way to Russia. All right, however many miles that is, that's however many miles Aaron Rodgers is ahead of Kirk Cousins. But either way, getting back to it, Kirk Cousins has the opportunity to change the NFL going forward if this guaranteed deal is real and if he gets offered it to him. All right, but that's the thing. Is he going to take that? Kirk Cousins is the type of quarterback I feel, the type of player, if you've paid attention to pretty much what they've shown us through the media and stuff, he's a real even-mannered guy, not really a big, I don't think he's playing for the money, okay? I don't think he's that type of player. So, I mean, the Jets could offer him a guaranteed contract, but, I mean, he could still decide, you know what, I want to go and win games, because with the Jets, you're not winning games, okay? He could decide, I'm going to go to Denver or even a team like Cleveland or even possibly Minnesota to where I have a better chance to win games, because I'll tell you this much, Cleveland is going to be a better team than the New York Jets next season, all right? I'll take that one to the bank right there. But Kirk Cousins can say, you know what, I want to go to the playoffs with Denver, I want to possibly win a Super Bowl, win in Minnesota, or I want to win games with Cleveland and bring them back up, all right? So, I mean, there's a possibility there. And if he does that, then that could mess it up for players going forward. Because, like I said, Kirk Cousins is the man who could change the landscape of the NFL as far as contracts go, right? Because you got John Gruden getting 10 years, $100 million. That's going to change the landscape for head coaches getting contracts too. John Harbaugh could be out of a job after this year. He's going to want something like what John Gruden is getting, right? Because John Harbaugh is a great coach. So we'll see how it all ends up. But it's exciting times in the NFL right now. Let me tell you that much, right? So that's all I got to say about that. Next up, we're going to be talking about different QB destinations. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Are you looking for help for your fantasy football team? Check out the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. Get today's best advice on who to start, who to sit, even who you should draft. From sleeper picks to red hot lineups, they got it all covered for you. That's GSMCpodcast.com/fantasy-football-podcast. We'll cover traditional leagues, dynasty, PPR, even IDP leagues. When you need fantasy help, there's just one show to hit up. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
All right, and welcome back to the GSMC Football Podcast. We spent that first segment talking about Kirk Cousins and the possibility of him getting a guaranteed contract. Still don't know how we got to this point where Kirk Cousins is going to become the highest paid player of all time. Like, I understand, like, there's a market and all that, but are you seriously going to tell me that Kirk Cousins is good enough to where he should even be a top 5 paid player of all time? Let alone the highest paid player of all time. Are you serious? Is that what we're doing today? I guess it is. So, I mean, again, I'm not trying to hate on Kirk Cousins, but the dude just isn't worth that much. But I'm not going to get mad if Kirk Cousins gets a fully guaranteed deal or anything like that. I'll be more than happy for the guy. All right, I have no idea who he is or whatever, but nonetheless, I'm always about the players getting paid because that's what matters. All right, because it's a business first and foremost. Go out and get your money and then be loyal second, okay? But nonetheless, it's going to happen. Kirk Cousins is without a doubt going to become the highest paid player of all time. Now, I guess it's just a matter of, is he getting it all fully guaranteed? Or is he just getting a bunch of money guaranteed? All right, because yes, there is a difference. All right, and the difference is that one is partially guaranteed, one is fully guaranteed. And with the fully guaranteed, if that happens, then there's going to be a lot more fully guaranteed contracts. And I think that I think the owners and stuff, they're way too cheap to, let this happen right now. But if Kirk Cousins is the first to do it, then I think it'll actually be better for the league if players are getting fully guaranteed deals. All right. Because I think most people are going playing basketball and stuff like that because of the fact that those dudes are making all kinds of money. Them in baseball, right? They're making all kinds of money. The NFL is the only league that's really behind as far as guaranteed deals, all right? Because the NFL owners want to be cheap and keep the money in their pockets, and I understand that too. If I'm an NFL owner, I don't want to give up my money, but nonetheless, it's going to happen, all right? It's about time the NFL caught up to everyone else. They've been trying to put it off for so long, and I think in the CBA they got some to where it kind of goes against fully guaranteed contracts, but nonetheless, it's going to happen eventually. So, I guess Kirk Cousins could be the guy that makes it happen first. So, we'll see how that all ends up. But speaking of quarterbacks, free agency, we're going to talk about pretty much the top destinations for quarterbacks to go to, okay? So, let's get into it. All right. Let's start off with Jacksonville, okay? They got Blake Bortles out there, but, getting someone better than him wouldn't hurt, would it? No, it would not. So Jacksonville, they're a team who's got a nice little situation, all right? Because they have one of the best defenses in the league. I still think that they're the best defense in the league, all right? I know Philly just came out and played a Super Bowl and won and all that, but nonetheless, you're telling me you get your choice at one defense. You could have Jacksonville's defense or you could have Philly's. I'm taking Jacksonville's. They're younger, and I just think they're better, all right? But nonetheless, getting back to the point. So arguably, they have the number one defense in the league. All right. Arguably, they have a top 10 running back in the league. All right. And they have an extremely explosive wide receiving corps. Is it corpse or is it core? I think it's corpse. I don't know. I've literally been dealing with like every single episode. I feel like I say the word core or corpse, and I'm not sure which one it is. I'm gonna have to search that up. But I've been doing this podcast for since November, and I still haven't figured it out. But either way, their receivers are really good. Okay, so yeah, they got that going for them. And then let's see what else they got going on. Got a solid offensive line, got a solid special team. So as far as quarterback destinations, I feel like that's the best one right there because of the fact that if you're a good quarterback and you go to Jacksonville, chances are you're gonna have a real good chance of winning a Super Bowl. Okay. They made it to the AFC Championship with Blake Bortles as their quarterback, and you guys know how I feel about Blake Bortles. All right, I'm not really too high on him. Think he has the tools to be a good quarterback, but he just simply hasn't put it together consistently enough. Right, the dude's been around for 4 years, and I feel like if you're still struggling to see what the quarterback is after 4 years, then I don't think you have a quarterback there. Okay, and that's one thing we'll talk about in the next segment too, about talking about Miami and Jarvis Landry and all those guys. But nonetheless, going back to the Jags, I don't know. I'm not really sure what I think of Blake Bortles anymore. Played well in the playoffs. Maybe he could be that quarterback that they've expected him to turn into. Maybe it's just going to take longer, right? Maybe it's the 5th year that it happens. But nonetheless, if I'm Jacksonville and Kirk Cousins says, hey, I want to come play for you guys, I'm telling him, okay, come play. Because Jacksonville is a Super Bowl contender, possibly even Super Bowl favorites with Kirk Cousins playing quarterback. And that's crazy to say because I literally just spent the last segment talking about how he's going to become the highest paid quarterback of all time. That's just how it is right there, right? The quarterback position in the NFL is going down, all right? It's getting less and less talented as the seasons play on. All right, there's going to be a time where Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Ben Roethlisberger, Phillip Rivers are all out the league, and they used to have Andrew Luck and Aaron Rodgers. After that, there's a drop-off, all right? Because I'll tell you this much, Matt Ryan, Cam Newton, all those guys, maybe Stafford and Russell Wilson could be on that same level, but all those guys after that, like I said, Cam Newton, Matt Ryan, and whoever else, they don't come close to that level, all right? They're good quarterbacks, but as of right now, if you told me, are these guys Hall of Famers? No, they're not, all right? Aaron Rodgers, yeah, he's a Hall of Famer, okay? Who else did I put? Andrew Luck, not really Hall of Famer, but if he plays a few more seasons and pretty much plays at the level we all know he can, yeah, that's going to be a Hall of Famer right there. So, as far as Kirk Cousins going to the Jacksonville Jaguars, yeah, that makes them Super Bowl favorites, I feel. But nonetheless, that's a good little destination to go to. All right. Then there's Minnesota, the other team that played in their respective conference championship game. All right, and lost. Granted, I mean, Minnesota did get blown out and Jacksonville lost by 4. But either way, all right, Minnesota, just like Jacksonville, has great defense, has a decent offensive line. Running backs, nice little duo right there. All right, you got to see what you got left in Dalvin Cook when he comes back off of his ACL injury. Wide receivers are really good. And all they're missing is a quarterback, all right? It's looking like they'll probably end up sticking with Case Keenum, but they do have a shot at Kirk Cousins. The Vikings have been a name that's been thrown around, all right? Not really too sure if it'll happen or whatever. They're not going to be able to offer the same kind of money that the Jets could or even the Browns or Broncos, but nonetheless, I mean, they could tell them, you want to go win Super Bowls, you come here, all right? So the Minnesota Vikings probably have the second best situation for a quarterback to go into, all right? Third best situation would probably have to be Cleveland, all right? Actually, yeah, Cleveland, okay? Because let me tell you, I was bouncing between Cleveland and Denver as the third best, but I'm going to go with Cleveland because of the fact that you got Josh Gordon, you got Corey Coleman, you got David Njoku, who's going to be a breakout tight end in his second season, all right? They got the number 1 and number 4 picks. Could spend one of those on Saquon Barkley to help bolster the offense even more, okay? And they got a young defense who just needs to develop, all right? They got talent. All it is just needs development. So if I'm Kirk Cousins, I'm thinking, you know what? Cleveland's got a lot of cap space. They could pay me like a team like the Jets. They could pay me like the Jets could. All right, maybe not as much, but nonetheless, they could pay me. Actually, no, I think the Cleveland Browns do have more cap space than the Jets, but I highly doubt that the Browns are thinking of giving Kirk Cousins a fully guaranteed deal. All right, but either way, Kirk Cousins goes there. They're getting 7 wins at the very least before the draft even starts. Okay. You get Saquon Barkley, you might have a little something there if the defense develops to the point where they play well enough to where Kirk Cousins can go out and win you some ball games, or at least keep you in some ball games, okay? So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Cleveland. Do they go Kirk Cousins, or do they go with a rookie in the draft? Do you go Sam Darnold, or do you go Josh Allen, all right? Because it's looking like those are the 2 quarterbacks they're looking at the most right now. We're going to talk more about Cleveland in the draft in the next segment, so let's get away from them for a bit. All right, now let's talk about the Denver Broncos, okay? Kirk Cousins goes there. That's a playoff team. All right, but I'm interested to see what they're going to do, because if they don't end up with Kirk Cousins, I think Denver might be in a bit of trouble, because I think they're going to end up with whoever Cleveland doesn't draft, whether it be Sam Darnold or Josh Allen. I think Josh Rosen is going to end up going to the Giants, but that's up for discussion too. We're not really too sure about it. Again, I can't wait for the draft, actually, now that I think about it. I mean, there's going to be a lot of surprises going on, especially with quarterbacks. We could possibly see 4 quarterbacks go in the top 10, and we'll probably most likely see 3 at least go in the top 10. So it's going to be interesting to see. But as far as Denver goes and Kirk Cousins and all that, I mean, like I said, they're a playoff team. They're probably going to cut C.J. Anderson, looking like they're going to bring back Emmanuel Sanders and Demaryius Thomas. Those are nice little weapons for Kirk Cousins there. All right, offensive line needs work, but defense, all right, that's the key right there, the defense. This year, the defense didn't play well, okay? They were on the field a lot and gave up plenty of points, but I do think that has to do with the quarterback play more than it has to do with the defense and talent. All right, they're still a pretty young defense. If they want Kirk Cousins, I'm sure they're going to have to trade Aqib Talib. Either way, I think he's gone. So, I mean, you still got Chris Harris and Bradley Roby, I think his name is. And then you got Todd Davis playing linebacker. And then you got a solid defensive line because you still got Von Miller out there. So they're still a pretty young team. All right. Right here is their playoff window for where they should be winning a bunch of games. But the last 2 years have been wasted. So they get a guy like Kirk Cousins. I mean, they're ready to rock and roll. So that's probably the 4th best destination. Again, I'd say Cleveland's a better spot than there because Cleveland's younger. And I think you could have more time to do more there. All right. Like I said, Denver's probably got about 2-3 more years left in their little Super Bowl window, I guess you could say, if they have a solid quarterback. Then let's go with the Cardinals, okay, as the 5th best spot. Cardinals are a team that's ready to win now. You got a veteran defense, but you do have some youngsters out there that are contributing and starting. Okay? Offensive line might need a little bit more work, but either way, playing pretty well. You got one of the best running backs in the game in David Johnson, and you got Larry Fitzgerald, a true number 1 receiver, already out there. And people are going to say, oh, yeah, but he's old, isn't he? Yeah, but he's still putting up big yards, big catches. All right? So, I mean, you don't really got to worry about Larry Fitzgerald too much. All they need is a quarterback to compete in that AFC West division. If a guy like Kirk Cousins goes to the Cardinals, then that's probably the best division of football, okay? Because you got the Rams, who are the best team there. You got the Seahawks, who are still a good team when Russell Wilson's out there. All right, they got to make a couple moves in the offseason to pretty much ensure that they're still good for years to come. All right, and you got the 49ers, who make a nice move here, make a nice move there, and they're competing with the Rams and the Seahawks. All right, you already got your franchise quarterback there and Jimmy G. So, I mean, now it's up to the Cardinals to see what they can do. If they get Kirk Cousins, then they're going to be a team that competes there. All right, very, very well may be that the NFC West next season has 3 playoff teams if the Cardinals are able to get a guy like Kirk Cousins or even maybe a solid quarterback in the draft. I think they got like the 14th pick in the first round, so maybe they could trade up or figure out a way, hope that someone falls into their lap. But either way, I mean, the NFC West, just talking about it for a bit, very well, even if the Cardinals do not get Kirk Cousins, they still could put out 3 playoff teams out of that division, all right, with the Rams, the 49ers, and the Seahawks. But, I mean, we still got to see what Jimmy G does for a full season. I think he's going to play well, but like I said, we got to wait and see. Then you got the New York Jets, all right. New York Jets is probably the 6th best destination because, I mean, they don't really have too much talent on that offense, but they do have a lot of money they can throw at you, okay? And that's where, I mean, anyone that goes to the Jets, I feel, isn't going to succeed. I just don't think they have good running backs. I think the offensive line needs work, and I think they need to do better at the receiver position. Yeah, you got Robbie Anderson, but he's probably going to be suspended for the first 4 games of the season, so you got to worry about that. All right, you don't have a number 2 receiver, you don't have a number 3 receiver, and you're probably going to need a tight end too because Austin Seferi-Jenkins, you're not sure if he's going to stay there or go somewhere else. Defense is pretty good, young, but they just got to develop. So the Jets are probably the 6th best destination in the league as far as where a quarterback should go. All right, then at number 7, you got the Buffalo Bills, okay? It's number 7 because, 1, they really don't have too many offensive weapons besides LaShawn McCoy. All right, wide receiver unit, I'm going to call it a unit, okay? Wide receiver unit is pretty weak. Kelvin Benjamin, not a number 1 receiver. I'll say that right now. All right. And that's probably the biggest thing right there. You got to fix up the offensive line a little bit. Eric Wood is gone. But either way, if you're a quarterback going in there, you don't have weapons to work with. That's why Tyrod Taylor didn't really put up big numbers. It's not because that's the type of quarterback he is. It's because he has no one to throw to, right? There was more times than not where LaShawn McCoy was the leading receiver for that team on any given game. All right, so they got to figure out how to get weapons on that team. So that's how I have Buffalo at number 7. I wouldn't want to go play for Buffalo. I mean, who would want to go play in that little city and the miserable weather, okay? Got great fans, probably one of the best fans, some of the best fans in the world of football, but nonetheless, Buffalo doesn't seem like something too enticing to go play, okay? So that's it right there. I don't think I'm missing any other teams, but yeah, we're going to wrap it up right there, all right? Next up, we're going to be talking about Jarvis Landry getting a franchise tag, talk about what the Dolphins are doing and pretty much what they need to do in the offseason, pretty much just talk a bit about them, and then we're going to talk about the Browns and their possible draft plans. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA, from the UFC to extreme cage fighting. They got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
All right, and welcome back to the GSMC Football Podcast. So far in today's show, we talked about Kirk Cousins possibly getting a fully guaranteed deal. Talked about what that could mean for the NFL going forward. Let me tell you, in short, what it means for the NFL is that they're going to have to open up those pocketbooks, all right? Stop being so cheap. But we'll see how it all ends up. Hopefully, Kirk Cousins does get that fully guaranteed deal because, I mean, it's better for the NFL if players are getting fully guaranteed deals, all right? It's going to make the league a whole lot better. I'll tell you that much, okay? And then we talked about the top quarterback destinations for teams and stuff like that, okay? So we did that, ranked them all. I think I said Jacksonville had the best spot, then Minnesota, then Cleveland, yes, Cleveland, then Denver, then Arizona, then New York, and then Buffalo. So we did that, all right? Now for this segment, we're going to be talking about the Dolphins franchise tagging Jarvis Landry, all right? We'll be doing that. We'll be talking about, what else are we talking about today? We're talking about we're going to talk about the Browns. Their plans on draft day. Mel Kiper Jr. says that don't be surprised if they draft Saquon Barkley with the first pick and then go quarterback at the 4th pick. I'll give my thoughts on that. All right, not that you care or anything, but nonetheless, I'll be giving my thoughts. All right, so we'll be doing that for this segment, and then for the next segment, we'll be talking about anything else going on in the world of football, whether it's weird news or whatever, just anything that has to do with football. So we'll be doing that, all right? So let's get into it. All right, Dolphins been negotiating with Jarvis Landry on a long-term deal, all right, and haven't come to an agreement yet. I think the last contract offer Miami offered Landry was $13 million a year, and that's about T.Y. Hilton money right there. And I've been saying all along that the Dolphins need to give him 13 or 14. I mean, 15 is a little high. 16 is too much, okay? I don't even think Julio Jones is making $16 million a year. Let me look at the contracts for the wide receivers right now. Let's see what we got going on here. All right, so let's see. DeAndre Hopkins is making $16 million a year. Jarvis Landry is not on that level. All right, let me tell you that much. Julio Jones is making 14. Antonio Brown's making 17. Landry's not on his level. AJ Green is making 15. I would consider AJ Green a better receiver than Jarvis Landry. So that's why I say you need Landry. Probably falls into that $13 to $14 million deal, maybe even a $14.5 million deal, like kind of like what Devontae Adams is getting or what he just got in 2017. All right, but as far as like what the Dolphins are doing with him right now, I mean, I've been seeing that the Dolphins franchised him and they're planning on trying to trade him. But if they trade him to a different team, then that means that the Dolphins get 2 first-round picks back from that team. And I don't really see any team giving up 2 first-rounders for Jarvis Landry, all right, just to pay him $16 million, and you still got to work out a long-term deal with him, okay? I mean, maybe you could see a team like the Browns possibly do it, and obviously the Browns wouldn't be giving up the 1st and the 4th pick or anything like that. They'd probably be giving up maybe that 4th pick this year and the first-round pick next year, all right? Or either way, I'm not sure how it'd go out. But either way, getting back to it, I mean, I just don't see how that happens at all. I think it's just going to be a matter of Landry getting either Landry just playing off the franchise tag this year and leaving the Dolphins after this year, or they're going to work out a deal, okay? I mean, because I just don't understand how any team in their right minds gives up 2 first-round picks for a guy you still got to work out a deal with, all right? But either way, we'll see how it is. Like, even to begin with, like, I know people like to say that Jarvis Landry is just a slot receiver. I think he's probably a top 10 receiver in the league, but I don't think he's worth $16 million, okay? So we'll see what they do there. And as far as the Dolphins, I mean, they're in a little bit of trouble as far as the cap goes. I mean, you got to pay Ndamukong Suh $16 million this year. You got to pay Ryan Tannehill $17 million unless they cut him before March 1st, which they won't do. All right, you're paying Andre Branch $7 million this year. Kenny Still $7 million. Kiko Alonso, who can't seem to keep up with a running back or wide receiver or even tight end as far as coverage goes, you're paying him $17 million. Juwan James is on the hook for $9 million. I think he's on the last part of his rookie deal. Mike Pouncey's got $7 million this year. Let's see, what else do they got? I think Juwan James, I'm not sure if this is his last year or whatever, but I know he's getting on the hook for $9 million this year. Mike Pouncey, $7 million. Cameron Wake, $8 million. Lawrence Timmons, $5 million. Julius Thomas, $6.5 million. All right, but those two, they're going to be getting cut. Lawrence Timmons and Julius Thomas. And with the Dolphins cutting Lawrence Timmons, I mean, I'm sure they're planning on making Raekwon McMillan their starting linebacker, going to take Timmons' spot. But after that, I mean, you got Alonzo, you got McMillan, but what else do you got at the linebacker position? Not much. So they got to figure that out. Maybe you go with this guy like Stephon Anthony, who played well, but you still got to figure it out. Like I said, you're going to need a new tight end since you're going to be cutting Julius Thomas, and that was such a waste of money right there, all right? Adam Gase's biggest problem with the Dolphins is that he's too loyal and he thinks he's too stubborn, okay? That's the thing. He's too stubborn. Thought he could fix up Julius Thomas. Obviously, that wasn't the case. Big disappointment, all right? Bringing in Lawrence Timmons. I mean, Lawrence Timmons was all right, I guess you could say. He wasn't great, but he was all right. And it's going to be interesting to see what Miami does, because obviously they're going to cut Thomas and Timmons, but I saw that they're still trying to figure out what to do with Suh. Do you cut him? Do you try and have him restructure, or do you just leave it how it is? Okay. And if I'm Miami, I'm not cutting Ndamukong Suh. That's by far the best player on that team. The guy has been. Is he overpaid? Possibly, but like I said, he's been by far the best player on that team since he signed with them, okay? So I don't think you should cut Suh. Maybe try and get him to restructure, but even if he doesn't restructure, I say that you don't cut him still, okay? You can't cut Tannehill this year. And that's one thing with the Dolphins too, and Ryan Tannehill. It's going to be interesting to see what their plan is at quarterback, okay? I think that you got to draft a quarterback in the first round this year. I think you have to, okay? Whether it be a Josh Rosen or whether it be a Baker Mayfield, you're taking one of those guys. I'm staying away from, I don't know, Josh Allen. I feel that could be a nice little project, okay? Let me tell you how I think it's going to go. Or let me tell you how I think it's going to. I think it's going to go Darnold at number 1 to the Browns. Then I'll go Rosen at number 2 to the Giants, but I'm not too sure about that either, okay? Because you got Mel Kiper saying that he thinks Rosen's going to fall a bit. And Mel Kiper has Rosen going number 11 to the Dolphins. And I think Rosen is by far the best quarterback in this draft, all right? Darnold has a lot of raw talent, but he's got to figure out a way to develop it once he gets to the NFL. Same with Josh Allen. He's got a lot of talent, but I think it's got to be developed. I think Josh Rosen is the most pro-ready quarterback right now, like ready to start week 1, okay? Josh Rosen, he knows how to make big plays, knows how to make those big-time throws, and he's not the most accurate. I don't know. He is pretty accurate, but I don't know. There's just something about Josh Rosen where I think he's going to be a great quarterback. If he goes to the Giants, then they're going to be set at quarterback going forward. That's where I've been thinking he's been going, but like I said, Mel Kiper thinks he's going to slide a bit. So, I mean, if it's up to me, if I'm the Giants, I'm taking Rosen, so there's already 2 quarterbacks off the board there. Let's see, I'm sure Kirk Cousins is either going to the Broncos or the Jets, so that's where you see one of them not taking a quarterback. Josh Allen's going to one of those teams. And then, like I said, that's where you got a Baker Mayfield possibly falling to number 11 to a team like Miami, unless a team like Buffalo somehow trades up into that spot. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do. I mean, Baker Mayfield on Miami, that's going to be a bit of a distraction too, because those Miami fans, it's pretty much like a love-hate relationship with Ryan Tannehill. It's either you love the guy or you hate him. And, I mean, if they draft Mayfield, those fans that hate Ryan Tannehill are going to be out there in full force week in and week out waiting for Tannehill to slip up, waiting for him to throw an interception, all right, waiting for him to fumble the ball, waiting for his stats to go down a bit, all right? So, I mean, drafting Mayfield, I think that'd be a smart move, but Gase, pretty much has to keep the outside noise away and pretty much stick to the plan of having Mayfield sit back for a year and pretty much learning the offense and stuff like that. Because I think that, let's put it this way, Ryan Tannehill, I think he's going to be in his 5th year with the team this year. And, yeah, he was drafted in 2012, so, yeah, this is going to be his 5th year, I believe, or his 6th year. I know, well, he missed the last year. Anyway, it's going to be his 5th year starting with the team, okay? With him, he's been the type of player of, this is the year he's going to break out, okay? And it's been that way year after year. It was, this past season was supposed to be that year, but he tore his ACL in training camp. And now it's pretty much how much longer could you wait for a guy like Ryan Tannehill to have his breakout year, all right? Maybe he's just that type of quarterback to where it's like, he's got the talent, all right? He's a nice little quarterback, but, I mean, it's just never going to come out into fruition or whatever it's called, that term, all right? And, I mean, Ryan Tannehill, you don't need him to be great or anything like that. The Jacksonville Jaguars got Blake Bortles to the AFC Championship game, and, I mean, Case Keenum was playing in the NFC Championship game. So was Nick Foles. I mean, you don't need a great quarterback to get far in the playoffs. You need a great team, though. I just don't know how great Miami's team is, okay? Because, I mean, you're going to have Raekwon McMillan becoming the starting linebacker. You got to see how he's going to play coming off of an ACL injury, all right? You got to see if Kiko Alonso got faster this year, because if not, I mean, he's going to get burnt every time trying to cover a tight end or any other position. I barely even think he could keep up with the offensive linemen, okay? Your secondary is pretty locked up. You got TJ McDonald, big hitter out there, locked up to a long-term deal. Same with Rashad Jones. Xavier Howard had a bit of a breakout season this year. See if he can pretty much capitalize off that in his 3rd year with the team. Cordrea Tankersley showed some flashes of what kind of corner he could be. And then you got Tony Lippett coming off of an ACL injury, and he was looking like Miami's probably best corner in Xavier Howard's 1st year. So I think they're pretty set at secondary. And as far as the defensive line goes, they got to be better than what they were last year, okay? Run game's got to get better, and they got to get to the quarterback a whole lot more, okay? You got Jordan, your defensive tackle position is set up with Phillips and Sue again, unless they cut Sue. But, I mean, even if they cut Sue, I kind of like the idea of playing with Phillips and David Godchaux out there. Godchaux played extremely well for a rookie coming out the 5th round, right? Then you got to see what's going on with Andre Branch. Is he going to play well? I know he was playing most of this past season with an injury, so I mean maybe that's why he was kind of slow this year. Cameron Wake's getting older, but did have double-digit sacks this year, and Charles Harris showed some flashes as a rookie too. So as far as defense goes, Miami just got to fix up that linebacker position, all right? And as far as the offense goes, that's where the problems lie. You got to see if Kenyon Drake can pretty much capitalize, build off of what he did towards the end of last season, all right? You got to see what they're doing with Jarvis Landry. You got to see if Devontae Parker finally wants to come out of his shell and maybe play some good football. Kenny Stills is as good as the quarterback that's out there, all right? And you got to figure out what's going on with Ryan Tannehill. Is he going to take the next step, or are you pretty much going to be a wait-and-see type of thing with him? But I do think they need to take a quarterback in the 1st round, unless Roquan Smith or Tremaine Edmonds is there. All right. The linebacker out of Virginia Tech. Then I think if you can get Smith at number 11, then you do that and you go with a quarterback, maybe a Mason Rudolph type in the second round, or even a Lamar Jackson type quarterback. All right, Lamar Jackson on Miami would be nice. Okay, help develop him for a few years, and when he's ready, throw him out there. And as far as the offensive line goes, you got to fix up the guard positions. You got to see what you're going to do with Mike Pouncey. Are you going to cut him or are you going to keep him out there? Mike Pouncey, I feel, is more of a liability than he is a player who could help with that team. So Miami's got a lot to deal with as far as cap space, what they're going to do with Landry, and pretty much going forward. Miami could be a team that plays well and competes for a wild card spot this season, or they can go the complete opposite way and only win 6 games again. So it's going to be really interesting to see, because if Adam Gase only gets 6 wins or 7 wins this season, then, I mean, he could very well be on his way out of Miami, because I know Stephen Ross is an owner who wants to see his team win. So it's going to be interesting to see what Miami does this season as far as, I mean, even the offseason, whether it be the draft and free, like they're not going to do anything in free agency, I highly doubt. So it's going to be interesting. Do they extend Landry, and what do they do with that first pick in the draft? I say go quarterback unless Smith or Edmonds is out there. All right. So that's all I got to say about the Dolphins. Let's talk a bit about the Browns. All right. Mel Kiper brought it up, saying that the Browns could very well draft Saquon Barkley with the number 1 pick and a quarterback with the number 4 pick, and I think that's genius, okay? I think if you draft Barkley at number 1, obviously, let's put it this way. So they have 2 picks in the first 4, 2 out of the first 4 picks, all right? And that's just crazy to think about. But let's talk about the teams that need quarterbacks, okay? There's only 2 teams in the top 4 picks that need quarterbacks, the Browns and the Giants, all right? I think that if you take Barkley with that number 1 pick, then the Giants are going to think maybe we go Sam Darnold, because I know that everyone's thinking of him as the top quarterback in the draft. And I think that I'm just getting so excited thinking about it. I think if the Giants were to take Darnold, that would be the best possible case scenario for the Browns, all right? Because if the the Giants take Darnold, then if I'm the Browns, I am taking Josh Rosen 100%. I think Josh Rosen is without a doubt the best quarterback in this draft. Okay, if the Browns end up with Saquon Barkley and Josh Rosen, I might be getting a little bit too excited, but that team's going to win 8 games at least. Okay, they're going to be that good, especially with that offense. I mean, with Saquon Barkley, you already got a solid offensive line, so you don't need Rosen to throw the ball too much. And that's one thing there. Like, I think now, like the Browns, if you're planning on taking Saquon Barkley with one of those picks, it's got to be the first pick, because I think that the Giants, I don't think he's going to last to number 4. I think the Giants or the Colts could end up taking him. And with Andrew Luck not needing a second surgery, I think that's where the Colts think, you know what, let's give him a running back so he's going to have to throw the ball the entire time, all right? So if I'm the Browns, you have to take Saquon Barkley with that number 1 pick, okay? I mean, no one is going to, unless the Colts somehow trade down with like a team like the Broncos or Jets for that number 3 pick. I mean, maybe that's kind of where it puts them in a bad position. But either way, you're going to end up with Rosen, Darnold, or Allen. Okay, you're going to get one of those 3 quarterbacks. You got to make sure you get Barkley though. That's the prize right there. All right. So if I'm the Browns, I'm taking Barkley number 1, and then I'm going Rosen with that 4th pick. And if that happens, the Browns are going to be a very fun team to watch. I really need this to happen. I mean, I'll be first in line. That'll be my team in Madden playing with the Browns if they get Rosen and Barkley. So it's going to be interesting to see. That was probably one of the smartest thing Mel Kiper Jr. said in a while. All right, I'm not trying to hit on Mel Kiper a lot, but I mean, I saw allegedly that I'm not even going to get into it as far as him and coming up with mock drafts. But either way, all right, they take Barkley at number 1 and Rosen at number 4. Cleveland is going to be a good team. So that's all I got to say about that. Next up, we're going to be talking about anything else going on in the world of football, whether it's weird or just news or whatever. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Check out the show built around the women of MMA. From the UFC to the extreme cage fighting, we got the fights covered.
Listen.
It's the Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast. The latest news of upcoming fights, discussions of previous matches. Join us as we talk to and about the biggest names in women's mixed martial arts, past, present, and future. When it's the women's fight game, you know where to listen to. The Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast.
All right, and welcome back to the GSMC Football Podcast. so far today, what have we talked about? We talked about good old Kirk Cousins getting maybe getting a fully guaranteed deal. That could change a lot in the NFL going forward. Second segment, we talked about the best team destinations for free agent quarterbacks. Third segment, we spent a lot of it talking about the Miami Dolphins, their little situation going on. And let's see what else we talked. We talked about the Browns, the possibility of them maybe going Saquon Barkley number 1 and then quarterback at number 4, which I think they should do. Shout out to Mel Kiper for bringing that to attention. All right. And for this segment, as we always do, going to be talking about anything going on in football, anything that comes to my mind, pretty much whatever. And you know what? I was talking with Tate during before this segment, and I might have said some things. Talked about maybe might have said that Lamar Jackson had has a better arm than Michael Vick did, and I might have been wrong. All right, and that got me thinking. All right, because my little comparison from Lamar Jackson is Michael Vick. All right. It's not just because they're both run first quarter. I don't even know if you consider Lamar Jackson a run first quarterback either. Okay. That's the thing. I feel like Lamar Jackson, he didn't really have too much to work with in Louisville. Okay. A lot of the reasons why they won games was because of Lamar Jackson. I mean, if you see the kind of talent that was out there with him, I mean, it really wasn't that good. It's not like you had Devontae Parker out there or any of those other guys. I mean, Lamar Jackson pretty much was working with bad talent. All right. So, I mean, as far as him, I mean, I like the way he plays. I think he's going to be a good NFL quarterback, and I think that people are being lazy by thinking that he's just going to be a wide receiver. At least give him a chance to develop before you go out and say the dude's going to go play wide receiver. All right, but nonetheless, I mean, the little conversation got me thinking about Michael Vick. How good was Michael Vick? Okay, I mean, he was really good, Michael Vick. All right, he was actually really good. All right. I remember his second year with Philly. I mean, he went 8-3, and this was after he got out of jail and stuff like that. I mean, he never really threw for over 3,000 yards too much. I think he only did that twice in his career. But, I mean, the dude was just explosive, all right? Threw for 133 touchdowns, 22,000 yards, a little bit over that. Threw 88 picks. Let's see, what did he do as running the ball? Let me see if I can find that. I got his passing numbers right here. Let's see. Look at his playoff numbers passing. Let's see. He played 2 games in 2002. He won 1, lost 1, obviously. 55% completion percentage, 391 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Not the best numbers. Let's see. 2004, 2 games, 1-1 again. Completed 23 out of his 40 passes. Same kind of completion percentage. Only 218 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. With Philly in 2009, 1 game. Let's see. Actually, he barely even threw in that one. That's 2010. He played 1 game, lost 20-36, 55%, 292 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Let's see if we could get his rushing numbers because that's what matters. All right, rushing numbers. 777 yards 2002, over 1,000 yards 2006. And we ran for over 1,000 yards once. I mean, pretty good still, though. Ran for over 6,000 yards. And never really did too much as far as those little trick plays. But nonetheless, I mean, Michael Vick was a really good player. Is he a Hall of Famer? If he doesn't go to jail, maybe. But nonetheless, I mean, really good player. So just wanted to talk about Michael Vick for a bit. Now let's talk about the craziness of Alshon Jeffrey, all right? The guy played the entire season with a torn rotator cuff. All right, a torn rotator cuff. That is not a very easy thing to do as a wide receiver, let me tell you. Not only did he play through it, he played extremely well while he was playing through it, all right? Got himself a 4-year, $53 million deal. So Alshon Jeffrey did quite the job this season, all right? And, I mean, that's just going to get him and Philly even more acclimated together. Fans are going to love him for doing that. But nonetheless, I mean, pretty crazy to see there that Alshon Jeffrey played the season with the torn rotator cuff. And that Philly team was something special this year, let me tell you, all right? I mean, I didn't think Philly was... Like, if you would have told me, oh, yeah, Philly is winning the Super Bowl this year, I would have said, no, probably not, all right? I mean, I didn't even think that Philly was going to be the top 2 team in that division. I thought it was going to be New York and Dallas as the top 2 teams in that division. And sure enough, I mean, Philly's going out, blowing everyone out. And, I mean, this year for Philly was the ultimate underdog story. Because, remember, there was a time when they were, 10-1 or whatever, and people were saying, oh, they haven't played anyone, yada, yada, yada. Pretty much trying to take everything away from them all season long. And no matter what, I mean, they came back and won ball games, and sure enough, won the biggest one of them all. So, I mean, Philly had a crazy season this year, but I mean, yeah, I just want to talk about Alshon Jeffrey a bit. Let's see what else is going on. Adam Vinatieri re-signed for his 23rd NFL season. The guy's played 12 years with the Colts, 10 with the Patriots. Did not realize he's been with the Colts longer than the Patriots. When you think of Adam Vinatieri, you more so think of him with the Patriots rather than with the Colts. But that was a little crazy stat that I saw. Let's see what else is going on here. Bill Polian said that on ESPN said that he'd only trade Kirk Cousins if a team was offering him 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks. Bill Polian is like, he's the guy that had a pretty successful NFL career, and now he's the Charles Barkley of NFL analysts. All right, he is that's the perfect comparison. Bill Polian is now the Charles Barkley of NFL analysts. All right, Charles Barkley, great player when he was in the NBA. Charles Barkley, the analyst, doesn't really provide too much insight or too much substance in order to talk and stuff like that. All right, just out there, he says stuff. That's it. He just says stuff. Take it with a grain of salt, and that's it. Bill Polian now, I mean, whatever he says, you take it with a grain of salt. All right. The guy said that Nick Foles is worth 2 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks. Really? All right, Nick Foles is good, but is he really? What is this, that movie Draft Day? Wait, what is that trade they did in Draft Day 2? I think it's the movie with Kevin Costner when he's the GM of the Browns. And he gave up 3 first-round picks for that year, for the next 3 years, and then 3 second-round picks for the year after. Is that what we're doing? That's literally where Bill Polian got his idea from. Are you kidding me? Bill Polian literally got that 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks for Nick Foles from Draft Day, from a Kevin Costner movie. Is that what we've gone to, ESPN? Allegedly, all right? I learned that in journalism in my classes, all right? You can't say stuff for sure. You got to say allegedly. But nonetheless, I mean, Bill Polian, I mean, he's the guy who first started saying that Lamar Jackson's a wide receiver in the NFL, which is not true. Lamar Jackson is a quarterback in the NFL. He should be, given the chance to be. All right, and if it doesn't work out, then yeah, go ahead, see what he can do at wide receiver. But for you to say, yeah, he's going to be a better wide receiver than quarterback is extremely disrespectful. All right, but either way, Bill Polian, that's like the Charles Barkley of the NBA. Let's see, what else do we got going on right now in NFL news? I mean, it's been a bit of a slow offseason so far. All right, you got Louis Riddick saying that the Steelers should give Le'Veon Bell the franchise tag. That makes no sense to me. Why would you give Le'Veon Bell the franchise tag if he said that he's not playing under the franchise tag? I say just let him go or you sign him long term. I mean, why on earth would you give a guy a franchise tag if he doesn't want to play for you? And I really hope the Steelers don't mess this up. If you franchise him, I'm just going to shake my head the entire time at that team. All right, you need to give Le'Veon Bell a long-term extension. Stop being so stubborn. He's the best running back by a mile in this league, all right? Ezekiel Elliott is a great running back. Still couldn't clean the dirt off of Le'Veon Bell's cleats. Let me tell you that much. All right, Le'Veon Bell, no one does what he does. You either pay him or you let him go get paid with some other team. Don't hold him hostage just because you want to be cheap. All right, I know the Steelers have been cheap pretty much as long as that organization has been around. They paid Antonio Brown. You're going to pay Antonio Brown. You got to pay Le'Veon Bell. All right. So, yeah, I think they need to pay Le'Veon Bell. Giving him the franchise tag just hurts my head. Let's see what else is going on in the NFL. I mean, still looking forward to John Gruden in his first year with the Raiders. Going to figure out what he's doing. Kind of curious to see what's going to happen with Marshawn Lynch. John Gruden says he needs Marshawn Lynch to come back bigger and stronger and pretty much better than what he was last year. And I hope that Oakland this year, if Marshawn Lynch does come back, actually gives him an actual game plan for him instead of just having him come back to be a PR stunt, because that's what it was. I mean, the Raiders refused to give Marshawn Lynch the ball enough times in the beginning of the season, I feel. So they got to start giving him the ball a whole lot more. And I think Marshawn Lynch can still be productive for that team. So we'll see about that. Let's see what else is going on in the league right now. I mean, like I said, there's really not much going on. We got to wait for free agency, what's going to be starting up in a couple of weeks. I can't wait to see where Kirk Cousins goes and how that has an effect on everything else after that. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how free agency ends up, because I mean, there's not really too many big name free agents. It's just Kirk Cousins. I mean, this is the year of quarterbacks for free agency, all right? Because I mean, the best free agent wide receivers is going to be Sammy Watkins, Allen Robinson, now that Jarvis Landry got franchise tag. As far as running backs go, I mean, Le'Veon Bell could be one, but I'm not sure if the Steelers are going to franchise him or give him a long-term deal. And then with Carlos Hyde, I think he's going to end up going back to San Francisco. I think Frank Gore is a free agent too. I'm sure he's going to end up on some team. He'll probably end up on the Seahawks, honestly, since they hate picking up running backs in their primes and pretty much decent running backs. So, yeah, free agency really is not. It's going to be like I'm more looking forward to where Kirk Cousins is going to end up. I'm kind of curious to see what's going to happen with the Baltimore Ravens too, as far as the draft. What are they going to do? Are you going to draft a quarterback, or are you going to keep below average Joe Flacco as your starting quarterback forever? So actually, that's going to wrap it up for today's show. Today we talked about Kirk Cousins' possibility of getting a fully guaranteed deal. Talked about quarterback team destinations or whatever for free agency. Talked about the Dolphins franchising Jarvis Landry, along with some other things about that team. Talked about the Browns possibly drafting Saquon Barkley at number 1. And then for this segment, pretty much talked about anything that came to mind. Mike Vick, talked about free agency a bit and a couple of other things. So thanks for listening to the GSMC Football Podcast. As always, I am your host, Jesse Tapia. We'll be back next Tuesday, so stay tuned till then, and we will talk to you later.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.